Smarterfan. Hey, everybody, welcome to another segment of Smarterfan Podcast, where we bring you behind the veil of sports, business, and life. I'm Joe, and this is Barry. How you doing, Barry?
Oh, it's exciting. It's exciting. I'm doing good. I'm
Yeah.
excited. Excited to talk about so many things tonight. Lots happening in the sports world, all the way to the White House, but don't let me get ahead of myself, my friend.
Yeah.
So, hey, let me give you that assist. I'm gonna pass the ball right to you, man. Let's go.
All right. All right. I'm going to talk about Julius Erving.
The doctor.
Yeah. He grew up in Roosevelt, New York, and he played for his high school basketball team. Now, he got his nickname from his high school friend, Leon Saunders, and who called him the doctor. And he called Saunders the professor. So now he said that while he was playing at the Rucker, people called him Black Moses and Houdini.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, but he said he preferred being called the doctor.
Uh-huh.
So,
Uh-huh.
so now in '68, he went to UMass. And in 2 seasons, he averaged 26 points and 20 rebounds. So now, since dunking was prohibited in the NCAA, his dunking was only seen and known by his teammates in practice.
Mm-hmm.
So now the NBA had a rule, that teams couldn't draft players with less than 4 years of college.
Mm-hmm.
But the ABA had the hardship rule that allowed players to leave college early. So that they used that rule with Moses Malone and Spencer Haywood.
Thank
So
goodness.
yeah, Irving left UMass to sign with the Squires in '71. Now he averaged 27 points as a rookie, and he led the ABA in offensive rebounds. And he finished second in the running to Rookie of the Year behind Artis Gilmore.
Mm-hmm.
So now he led the Squires to the Eastern Division Finals, where they lost to the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
So now he became eligible for the NBA draft in '72, and he was picked by the Bucks, but
Mm.
he had already signed with the Hawks.
Mm.
That was after a contract dispute with the Squires.
Mm-hmm.
So now, but this created a 3-team dispute between the Bucks, who had his rights, the Hawks, who signed him, and the Squires, who still had his contract.
Interesting.
Yeah. Uh, so he went back to the Squires for that '72 season, and then they sold his contract to the Nets in '73.
Mm-hmm.
So now he led the Nets to their first ABA title in '73, and that's became the face of the league. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Now they beat Denver in the final championship before the merger in '76 with the NBA. Now, this is where the Knicks got to be kicking themselves. Now they wanted $4.8 million for invading their territory, right? So the Nets said, "Okay, we'll give you the doctor's contract if you waive the fees." The Knicks refused.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. So the Sixers bought his contract and paid all of the Nets expansion fees. And he led the Sixers to 4 NBA finals, winning the one in '83. And he retired in '87 and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in '93. Now, this is
Mm-hmm.
interesting. He and NFL running back Joe Washington became the first minority to own a NASCAR team in the Busch Series from '98 to 2000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Mm.
so now he
What's
currently
up?
coaches the Tri-State team in the Big Three.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I met him, and when I tell you I strained my neck looking up at him,
Okay.
And when I shook his hand, my hand disappeared.
Yeah, that's typical with Julius.
Yeah, so
Typical.
very, very classy man. Very classy.
You know, my take on Julius is this. You know, I think for me, Julius transcends the GOAT conversation
Mm.
because without Julius, the leagues never merge.
Mm-mm.
He's probably the only player who should be receiving rightfully a stipend because he saved the league.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You
Yep.
know what I mean? So to me, he's so much more than a player. He took the game to a whole new platform, wider audience, greater excitement. He literally saved the league.
Yes, he did.
You you know, and so he's just in the for me, he's just in a class by himself. There's not a player of 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s who hasn't been influenced by Dr. J.
Nope. Not at
I
all.
mean, I mean, people still talk about. You can watch his highlights and still get excited.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I
They still
mean,
they still talk about that movie put on Kareem in the finals.
yeah. I mean, you talk about someone who transcends the game. He needs a his own place to place his legacy because without him, Michael taking it to where Michael took it, Kobe taking it global, all that doesn't happen without Dr. J.
See,
The thrill of the dunk contest, and
yeah.
this is a trivia I think I may actually get you on, is that Julius Erving is probably top five, if not top 10, in rebounds and block shots. His
Mm,
defense was as exciting as his offense, but people just talk about the offense.
right. Yes, he was very great. He was a great defender.
Great defender.
Hmm.
So anyway, I just had to throw that little trivia. I never win with you. You always beat me on trivia, but I'll take
Well,
it.
well. On that note, I saw Michael defy the laws of gravity, but I watched the doctor defy the laws of physics. so,
Well put. Well
so,
put.
so,
Well
what?
put.
Yeah. So, what's going on with Cam Ward?
Man, I just think Cam Ward. I'm so confused. Like, why haven't they been talking about this kid who had no stars out of high school,
Mm,
goes to JUCO, gets an opportunity at Washington State,
mm-hmm.
balls out,
Mm-hmm.
gets an opportunity at Miami, the Miami,
Mm,
balls out, becomes a top three Heisman candidate and the number one draft pick.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know of a more Cinderella story than that.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here going, is anybody going to talk about this kid? Because you have to say, all these other guys who've gotten 4 stars, 5 stars, they're supposed to be this, that, and the other. They go to the big school, and what happens?
Mm,
And
yep.
here, this kid has grinded it, gotten it out of the mud, literally, to put
Yeah.
himself in position. And so I was sharing with some folks at the gym, and they wanted to get my take. And I said, he's one of the greatest stories in the draft saga. I mean, who's ever heard of that? But they said, well, Barry, why do you think he's not? I said, because to talk about it would destroy the whole 5 star, 4 star, 3 star thing, which is so made up, it's not even funny. It also
Yeah.
blows up the fact that you can, if you got talent and you get a right opportunity, look where you can go.
Yeah.
Look what
Yep.
you can do,
Yep.
because it wasn't an easy road at all for the kid. So think about it. He had to go to Washington State and beat out the starter and the guys who
Mm,
were sitting there a year or two who were recruited on scholarship.
mm,
Then he leaves there and has to beat out the number 1, 2 quarterback at Miami, who's on
Yeah.
scholarship,
Yeah.
wins the job, and takes him to a winning record that they haven't had in quite a while. I don't know what's a better story. So I just wanted to give Cam Ward his flowers now
Mm,
and just let him know he is not unnoticed for the great work he's done. I'm kind of hurt that he ended up in Tennessee because I don't think Tennessee is going to take care of him,
mm-mm.
but I'm wishing him the best because he's earned it. Great
Mm,
kid, great young man.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So, all
So
right.
what you got cooking? I know you got something cooking.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna switch gears a bit now. We're into the second round of the NBA playoffs. Right now,
Yeah.
you got the Knicks going up against the Celtics. Right, so they were 0-4 against them during the season and lost by an average of 16 points.
Yeah.
So, now Boston has a lot of weapons.
Hmm.
They can kill you from 3-point land, and the
Hmm.
Knicks are horrible at defending the 3-point play. So, you know, the matchups are going to be interesting to see. And Cat's got to show up. Bridges has got to show up, and they need to stop standing around while Brunson is, holding the ball. So they got to do all of those things just to have a fighting chance, in my opinion.
Yeah, your opinion is right. I think it comes down to coaching. You can't put it all on Brunson. You're not going to win that way. And you're
No.
going to only increase his ability to get hurt. Everybody's got to contribute if you're
Yep.
going to win.
Yeah.
It's the only way to win. I don't know where these folks get up. I'm going to run my offense through one person. It doesn't work that way. What
Nope.
happened to the other night with Golden State? That kid put up what, 33 points?
Yeah.
Why? Because people were paying attention to everybody else but him, and he got his opportunity. Now the defense has got to like, yo, we got to pay attention. So what
Yep.
is that going to create? Easier shots for Curry and the rest of them.
Yeah.
5 guys got to play. It can't be just one guy.
Exactly.
That you're
Exactly.
not going to win. This is just doesn't the game doesn't wasn't designed that way.
Mm,
Right? You got to
yeah.
get everybody to contribute and make everybody play, make the defense play honest, and then you have a chance.
Yeah.
I don't
Definitely.
know, John. The way we talk here, it would seem like the NBA needs to send us a check. They seem to not be able to figure this out. I
Well,
don't
I
know what's
uh
going on, brother.
I say Celtics in 5. That's just
Yeah,
my take, but we'll see
yeah,
what happens.
yeah.
So now you got the Thunder and the Nuggets going at it.
The
Now
Suns,
the Thunder,
the
OKC,
Thunder,
yeah,
and
OKC,
who?
and the Nuggets.
I thought Denver got bounced.
Nah, they stayed around. They're still in it.
Joker is in it.
Yeah, he's in it. So now you got two potential MVPs going against each other
Oh,
with
it's gonna be fire.
him and Alexander. You
It's
know,
gonna be fire. But
yeah,
again, if everybody on OKC steps up, they can get him.
yeah, oh yeah. They got a tough defense. They can go big. They can go small. You
They can
know,
get him.
so it's going to be a big test for Denver.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and I
well,
think that may actually decide who gets the vote.
mm,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? That
yeah,
may decide it because I
definitely.
guarantee you, if the Thunder wins, they won't announce the MVP until the end of the series. But
Oh
if
yeah,
Jokic wins, I bet you they give it to him before the end of the series. Before the end of the championship game.
right. Well,
Guarantee
we'll
it.
we'll have to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
so what's with this LSU player that we lost?
Man, I think it's another story. It brought a tear to my eyes when I watched the draft because that kid was supposed to be in the draft.
Mm,
He was lined up. And I said, again, another story that needs to be talked about. This kid was obviously having tremendous issues with pressure and demands and all kinds of stuff to get himself
mm,
into not her first, but second speeding situation with the police,
Oh yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and
That was
to end
tragic.
his, to end his life that way, literally weeks of being away from being drafted. So
Yeah.
to me, you have to ask yourself what was going on in his life.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
where is the university on the mental health end in helping these athletes? I mean, you got to understand. I mean, people don't really understand that with social media and you're an athlete, you literally have no privacy.
No.
You literally have no privacy. It's crazy. And to
Yeah.
be under that level of scrutiny all the time is mentally stressful. It's not healthy. You
Yeah.
can never turn off. You know what I mean? And it just hurts me because he's not the only young man going through that. Pros are going through it. There really needs to be a very, very serious intervention, support system, network, all those good stuff to help these athletes navigate the dynamics of being a pro athlete.
Yeah.
You know,
The NHL has a program like that.
it has to happen, else you're just going to keep getting these terrible stories. And
Yeah.
the other side of it, I talked to a friend of mine who's a big Division 1 at a major university. Um, we talk about it all the time. A really, you know, f- families are gonna. There's a real need for this mental health intervention.
Hmm. Yeah.
I've got a good friend I'm going to have on, Dr. Frankie, graduated doctorate from
Hmm.
Ohio State University,
Yeah.
um, coached with the Tampa Bay head coach. I can't remember his name. One of my favorite coaches too. He has a history of going back all the way to Grambling. And
Mm.
so we're going to bring him on to tell you some amazing stories of him being in the coaching world, being a doctor, and all
Hmm.
that good stuff. And the stories that these kids are going through and the dynamics that is going to make a lot more sense. But we'll talk more about that.
Mm. Yeah. 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 That, like I said, that was tragic what happened to that kid, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, literally weeks away. One of his teammates, literally, who also got drafted, was wearing a special pin and to honor him.
Right.
He was
Yeah.
number 2
Yeah.
and had it on his lapel. And you could see he was heartbroken, like, my man should be here with me, man. I shouldn't
Right.
be, it's heartbreaking, man. It's heartbreaking. And
It
there's
is.
no excuse. There's enough money being made off these athletes to provide this safety net.
Yeah.
There's
Definitely.
enough money.
Definitely. Yeah. They can do something like this. Like I said, the NHL has a program specifically to deal with players who are having mental health issues, and it's for their families also.
It should be. I mean, could you imagine being I'll tell this story. So Eric Dickerson, the famous Eric Dickerson, who's
Mm.
from Texas, talks about how he was basically almost strong armed by the University of Texas to sign with them.
Mm.
He's an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And the recruiter literally says to him, if you don't sign with us, you'll never be able to get a job in Texas.
Hmm.
And Derek said after that experience, he was determined to go to SMU.
Hmm.
He hated Texas for the way they treated him, because
Yeah.
he understood this recruiter was making his career off the back of an 18-year-old kid and threatening him that if he didn't come to Texas,
Hmm.
he would, what would happen to him.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
stuff that goes on. People don't know. But at
yeah.
Smarter Fan Podcast, we uncover all these things.
All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the MLB,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
how the season is going so far. So
Mm-hmm.
now the Yanks, they just seem to have one pitcher, Max Fried, because he's the only one that's winning. Right? You
Mm-hmm.
got you got Cole, Heel, and Stroman out on the IR or IL as they call it now, and So their pitching staff is very thin now. They had to throw Warren and Carrasco into the fire, and they haven't really fared that well. So it's just they've lost their last 2 series in a row. So, but it's early, so and you still got Stanton down, and you got Volpe. He's back, but he hurt his shoulder, so it's just the injuries just keep piling up already. And Judge is doing his thing, but we've seen this movie before. When he does it in the postseason, then I'll believe it. Okay.
Man, you are the ultimate Yankee fan. You are never happy with whatever is going on with the Yankees. You are crack me up, man. I can't help but laugh.
Hey,
Man, you are
I'm just
funny.
telling it straight.
Straight as arrow. You crack me up, Joe. You crack me. I love to hear you talk about the Yankees because you ain't never happy about anything they're doing.
Yeah, well, that's another story for another day. Now, Jacob DeGrom, remember him?
Who?
Jacob DeGrom.
Who is that? I knew you was going to get me with something.
He's back. He was that pitcher for the Mets for all those years, and then he went but he was constantly hurt. So he basically hasn't played in like 2 years when he went to the Rangers. So now the Rangers had a 7-game homestand, and they won just 2 of those games, and he won both of them.
Wow.
So now this is the first time he's won back-to-back games since he was with the Mets in 22.
Hey, a little rest will do it for you. A little rest.
I guess so. And a lot of money.
Yeah, that'll help.
Now, so he recorded his 1,700th career strikeout in 225 games. That makes him the fastest to reach that point in that amount of games. He surpasses Yu Darvish and Randy Johnson, who did it in 230 games. So, but Texas, they're really not going anywhere. So at this point, they're one of those bottom dwellers that you speak of.
Yep.
So,
yep.
So Trump and college sports.
Yeah, Joe, I ran into a very interesting article about how Nick Saban had a meeting with President Trump, talking about creating an executive order to kind of rein in this NIL situation.
Right.
Now, I think there's some positive and some negative, right? And so for those of you who don't know, Trump has a long-standing feud with the NFL because when he wanted to become an NFL owner, they snubbed him. They snubbed him. And that's how he became the owner of the New Jersey Generals. And if you look it up, you can see it. It's all there. But since that time, there's been a brewing fight between Trump and the NFL. So I think this probably is a step with Saban, and I think the NIL situation kind of helped push him out the door because it's just not the way you're dealing with athletes. You're dealing with pro athletes, but they're in college, right? And so the only kind of threat you kind of have over them is that they didn't, they're trying to get to the next level. It's got to come through you as the coach, right?
Yeah.
So, this is part A. The amazing thing behind this whole conversation is how silent the NCAA is. Who's supposed to be leading the charge in this? But again, they're failing, and I'm not really mad about it because I anticipate within 3 years they won't exist. They're not doing anything. They're not helping the athlete. They're not doing anything. And the way that colleges and universities are set up now, they can do everything they need to do on their own, and they don't need the NCAA, And I'll leave that as part A. So it was interesting. I said, well, boy, Trump still got he's still chewing on that bone to influence the NFL and collegiate sports, and hopefully it'll be a good thing, because it should be a good thing. It could help a lot of athletes if done right. because not 95% of them are not going pro for various reasons,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
I
I
know.
think that one of the big things that should be stressed every if you finish your 4 years of eligibility, you should be able to have 2 to 3 years of academic eligibility where you're able to get a degree or advanced degree or a trade or whatever.
Yeah.
Because college sports is a full-time job.
Yep.
Don't let anybody fool you. It's a full-time job.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to leave it right there.
We're gonna leave it right there. Part A is right there. And we're coming back with Dr. Frankie. And I think you guys, Smarterfan fans, are going to really enjoy Dr. Frankie because he's been in the trenches and he's just an amazing, amazing guy. Him and his wife are doctorates, academic doctorate degree individuals. Great people.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Great
looking
people.
forward to it.
And as
So,
we say to our fans,
stay
stay in the
in.
game.
All right. Good night,
Stay in the
everybody.
game. Good night. Have a good one. Be well. See you next week.
Smarterfan.